Alright, so today I'm gonna talk about Tekken 8 and see if the game is enjoyable. Now, there are quite a few things that I want to touch on before we actually get into the meat and potatoes of the video. Mainly the fact that there are different mindsets when you want to talk about a game like Tekken, because this game has a lot of history. And there are people, such as myself, who have been playing this game for quite a long time. I think I was there since Tekken 1, although I've not really played Tekken 1 and 2, maybe in very limited fashion. But the one that I really started playing was Tekken 3 when we got it for the original PlayStation 1. So that was back in 1998. So yeah, I'm a certified dinosaur, so to speak. But that's besides the point. So the game has been around for a long time, and there's a lot of bloat that comes with it. Meaning, you really want to learn how to do the combos, the moves. Some of the moves still use the old animations as well. So, if you want to get into it as a new player, I think it can be a daunting task. So, I would say give it some time. So, if you just want to play around with it as a casual, that's also great. One thing I can tell you is the overall presentation of the game is very well done. And what I mean by that is that it can capture people's attention and make people want to try more things. So that's one of the positives of Tekken 8. And I believe that they really did a phenomenal job with the overall presentation of the game and generating interest for casuals. Just seeing the gameplay, seeing the characters, and the high fidelity that this game provides using, of course, Unreal Engine 5, I believe, really did a fantastic job of basically bringing everything together in a very cohesive and well put together package. So that's that out of the way. If you're a casual, I would say play the story mode, fiddle around with Tekken Ball, Arcade Quest. I think they do a good job of explaining the basics because each character has a lot of moves. I think 70 moves minimum for each character. So you really gotta take your time with this game if you wanna get into it. Even as a casual, I would say, you really have to take your time, see which characters you like, and then basically discover what your style of play is and whatnot, right? Because I think one main thing that nobody really talks about, if you want to break it down to its core, the gist of Tekken is basically to see who is throwing what at you, who is repeating what pattern, and then pinpointing that pattern, and then going into practice mode and trying to replicate that same situation, see if you can find a solution to that pattern, and now go back into your matches, whatever, see if you can basically replicate your solution in a real world setting. So that's basically the gist of it. It's basically pattern recognition of your opponent and what you can do about it. So that's the gist of Tekken overall. Now, if this kind of gameplay loop really doesn't interest you, then I believe the game may not be for you because that is the core of Tekken. Because each character has a lot of moves with variable hitboxes, let's say, and variable animation frames, startup animations. Of course, there are a lot of concepts that I don't think it can fit into one video, and I'm sure other Tekken content creators have been doing a phenomenal job of breaking all of this stuff down. If you want to just search up Tekken 8, of course, all of the big names will pop up, such as the main man Sui, Speed Kicks. I don't think he has a YouTube channel, but I think there are a couple of other people who do like Lil Majin and Blackheart, Mike Hollow, Fenty, and those guys, right? So all of those Tekken content creators, they're awesome, and they can break down the technical aspects of each character, what animation frames are. They can break those down for you in a very cohesive manner. But I'm just talking about the general stuff here, okay? So I don't think I'll be able to talk about all of those details in just one video. We'll see, because Tekken is also one of those games that I'm a really big fan of. But anyways, we'll get into that. So what I wanted to basically say is that if you can enjoy that core gameplay loop, then yes, and I believe that you can spend more time in Tekken. Now the thing of it is, once you start playing online, start playing ranked or playing quick match, you'll start to notice that people are basically mashing a lot of buttons. They are putting out a lot of moves, throwing everything they got at you, and this can basically diminish your enjoyment of the game. If not, for lack of a better term, make you freaking furious at the game most of the time, especially in lower ranks. If you're in green ranks or red ranks or even purple ranks, let's say, even in those ranks, I would say it can get very frustrating because people are going to be throwing some crappy combo at you and you're going to just eat it at all times. So this kind of stuff, if this kind of stuff gets to you, and but you still kind of have that enjoyment of the game, then I would say don't get mad at the game, at least for the time being. Don't get mad at it. I would say take it easy and try to see again, try to observe what the opponent is actually doing, right? Try to see if those patterns are being repeated for a million times, right? And try to see what move the character is throwing at you. That's why you have the replay mode. Replay mode, especially in this game, is such a godsend, and I think the developers really did a great job with the UI. Can be, a little bit hit or miss, especially if you're a first-time Tekken player. Navigating it might be a little bit tough, but there are some ways that you can figure out what the opponent is throwing at you. You can toggle the opponent's button presses, and in replay mode, you can basically see what buttons the opponent was pressing during your match. And if you see what button is being pressed during which move, you'll be able to pinpoint, okay, this opponent has been doing this for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times during the match, and I got hit by it. Now, once you have that pinpointed, now you take that into practice mode and see if you can replicate the same situation, right? Because in practice mode, you can also have it set up in a way that the CPU is going to be doing that same move. And now, when the CPU is doing that same move, you can see, okay, now can I block this move? Can I duck this move? Can I use a side step or a side walk? I know these kind of concepts are, it can be a little bit daunting, especially if you're, new to the game. But these are the general terms that Tekken community players will use, right? Because each move has different properties, and understanding those properties and their hitboxes, their animation frames, whether they are tracking to sides or not, those are the type of things that you should be looking out for when you want to try to look for a solution to a repeated pattern, let's say, right? So this is the general gist of Tekken, and it goes beyond just casual play. It is basically in the enthusiast realm now, right? because you're spending time, you're trying to figure out the animation frames, the properties of the moves, and everything. So, this to me is very fun. Now, if it is fun to you, again, that is great. You can move on to the next level, which is enthusiast. So, the first point that I touched on was basically taking it easy. The next point is you gotta have to take a breather. Basically, give yourself some break because I know the loop itself, if you really like it, like anything else, it can be very addictive. Now, if you play ranked, you obviously want to rank up because you want to get that shiny new rank, right? You want to prove that you're better, you want to prove that you're good. But trust me, it can be very daunting, especially if you're moving higher and higher in ranks. You're going to come across better players, and those players will basically beat your ass up. And more often than not, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get angry. And in those moments, I would say quit the game and do not continue playing. The moment you see you're being angry, just quit it and then come back to it maybe after 3 4 days with a fresh mind, right? Because as much as I like this game, as much as I really love the gameplay loop of it, it can get very frustrating because of the amount of player expression that this game gives you. Now, of course, there is a point of contention among pro players and longtime Tekken fans that Tekken 8 really doesn't give you that much player expression. But talking from a enthusiast standpoint, a casual standpoint, and if you want to look at the game from that perspective, it can still give you a lot to do. And because each character has many different moves, each player will have somewhat of a different style, let's say, right? And that style can be very frustrating. They can just be mashing buttons, they can string together combos, maybe just a few bread and butter combos, but because you really don't know how to deal with those combos, you eat them all the time and then you lose the match. And that can be very frustrating. The strings can hit high, low, mid, right? There are many characters that have mix ups. And if you don't know how to deal with those mixed situations, then of course you're gonna get hit. Worst case scenario, you're gonna lose the match and it's gonna make you very angry. So, point still stands that if you're angry, if you think that you're gonna be crushing the controller, I would say stop playing and give yourself a little bit of a breather. Next thing is rank. Rank, well, is basically just a rank, right? I know, as cliche as it sounds, too many people put so much emphasis on rank that they forget about everything else. If you're putting so much emphasis on rank, just ranking up, oh, I got this rank, I got that rank, it really doesn't work because at the end of the day, you're playing the game for the gameplay loop, right? For this puzzle that you're trying to solve in real time as the other opponent is putting out moves, and then you're gonna have to deal with those moves and what you're gonna do in different situations, right? So you're constantly in a state of problem solving and troubleshooting when you're playing Tekken 8. So you should do that, because you are playing for that. You are basically enjoying the core gameplay loop of the game. Of course, the rank is added gravy. If you can get to a higher rank, that's awesome. But also at the same time, if you don't get to it or if you get demoted to a lower rank, that really doesn't mean anything. It's basically just a way to gamify the fighting aesthetic, let's just say. I don't know what I just said. It's basically to gamify the gameplay loop, if that makes any sense. It's added incentive. Let's just say it's added incentive for you to play the game more, right? Oh, so you can rank up now. That is great. You reached a higher level. Play some more because guess what? There's another level higher, So it's added incentive, it's added gravy on top of the core gameplay loop for you to basically, spend more time in the game, right? Because that's what the developers want. That's what Namco Namco Bandai really wants, right? For players to spend more time in the game that they developed. So see ranked gameplay as that and nothing else. If you get demoted, that doesn't mean that you're like a bad player. Of course, there are some bad habits that do occur when you're playing Tekken, and we all have them, right? So, but that's why replay mode is for. That's what practice mode is for. You can always go in those modes and try to see if you can improve yourself that way, right? Because that's part of the core gameplay. So, if you see that you're on a losing streak, if you see, of course, depending on player, it's gonna differ. Some players really have a high tolerance for losing. I think I'm one of those players as well because one time I probably had around like 7 to 10 losses back to back, but I was still playing and I wasn't really mad. I was still playing, but of course, it can get very tiring at that point. You will win some matches here and there, but it will get tiring as well. So you really got to be careful for that too. So just give yourself some time and basically try to enjoy the game in smaller portions. Now, because you see all those videos, those combo videos, and those breakdown videos from the Tekken community online on YouTube, that they are doing all these crazy things in the game, and that just motivates you and incentivizes you to go back into the game and grind and really play hard, right? But at the same time, just know your limits and try to see if you can break it down to smaller portions for you to enjoy better. Because guess what? Not all players are going to be like that. Not everybody is going to pull off, I don't know, a 20 hit combo, which is going to carry you to the other side of the stage and also break the wall. And then again, you're going to have to follow that combo up too. Not everybody is going to have to do that, right? So you're basically playing for your enjoyment. And this is as far as I have gotten. So this is basically my own thoughts because I consider myself more of an enthusiast, you know, and I'm not a pro player by any means. My Tekken is not good at all either. I have only reached Raijin rank right now with Steve, and with Armor King I am at Fujin, and with Lily I'm also at Fujin. So these are my three kind of main characters. I've dabbled with Nina as well, but not so much. So yeah, these are my main characters. Now, regarding what to do if you want to choose a main, I think I'm gonna save that for another video. But yeah, these are basically my general thoughts for Tekken 8. I think at the end of the day, as an enthusiast or as a casual, the game can be very enjoyable. But if you want to go into higher and higher ranks, I would recommend breaking it down to smaller portions and not play all day. I have been culpable in doing that. I gotta tell myself that as well. So yeah, don't do that. If you're addicted to the gameplay loop and just want to figure out moves and what the property of certain moves are, sure, you can always go to practice mode and train yourself that way, and then maybe hop onto a few matches here and there. But if you see that you're losing, you're on a losing streak, like a 10 losses or I don't know 6-7 losses, and you're getting angry, just quit the game. Quit the game, come back to it after a couple days with a fresh mind. That's what Tekken does to people, unfortunately, because gameplay can be so fun that you're gonna start watching videos, you're gonna start analyzing the moves and everything, right? So that's great, but at the same time, you cannot be having too much of a good thing, right? As the saying goes. So just space it out, balance it out, and then enjoy it in smaller increments. Now, regarding the general overview, the overall direction of the game, I think I'm probably gonna make another video about it because I don't think it can fit into this one video. I think I've talked enough. I've talked for 20 minutes now. My gosh. So yeah, maybe I'll do another video for the general direction of the game. Suffice it to say, generally speaking, I really don't like it. As a long-time Tekken fan, I don't really like where the story is going. I don't really like some of the characters that have been added to the game. And gameplay wise, even though I did say that I enjoy it, there are some issues with it that I really do not understand why it was added there in the first place. Rage, rage mechanic being one of them. Now, I think I'm gonna get into that in a separate video. But anyways, that was me. This was my thought so far regarding Tekken 8. If you want to play it, I would say get into it with an open mind. Try the single player stuff first, see if you like it. And if you like the characters, I'm sure people will find, their characters because there are so many good characters in that game. And yeah, basically try to see if you can have fun because I believe there is fun to be had in this game. Okay, guys. See you in the next video. Take care, stay inspired, and Merry Christmas. Take care and bye.